Hi, everybody. It's Grace. Welcome to Eating Peace, a place we often feel like a movement towards compulsive behavior, a want to escape, or a drive to eat like crazy. And then there's all the other compulsions too, right in the middle of that, like smoking or drinking or using drugs or cleaning the house like an insane person, um, over exercising, doing things that even conceivably we think of as good, good behavior, but overdoing it. Whenever that's going on, um, or one place when that appears is when we feel hurt. Almost always there's some sense of being hurt or frightened. This fear can either be something that is threatening us in our imagination that we think is going to happen in the future, or something that's already occurred that feels painful, where we feel wounded about something that's happened in the past. And a whole topic on that is noticing, noticing really in reality, I've always seen that I only anticipate things that are going to happen to me in the future that are alarming or hurtful or worrisome when it's already happened in the past. The good news about that is the thing's already happened, and so you can take it through inquiry. You can inquire. You can see the things or the places, the experiences you've had that have been painful, where you feel you were hurt, and actually work with them in self-inquiry. But here's a general sense of this being hurt experience that I wanted to speak to today, because it's so painful, and it really leads to an incredible desire for comfort. So we feel hurt. Almost immediately, we feel against the experience of being hurt. I hate being hurt. I don't want to. I got to get away from that person. I got to run. I got to go shut my door and get into bed and pull the covers up over my head. And I need to get away from this feeling and get away from the source of the feeling. And the feeling of being hurt comes out of that other person or out of that other experience. A loss, a criticism, a judgment. Somebody is saying something really painful to me. I experienced something very painful, maybe all the way back into childhood, something that I remember that I experienced once a long time ago, and it was just imprinted, and it's inside me as very painful. It is so natural. I mean, it's sort of part of, I don't know, the natural process of life in a way that if there's a pain or a wound, there's an immediate effort to heal it. I mean, if you get a cut on your arm, if you scratch your arm badly, immediately nature, a natural process of life, goes into beginning to heal it. Scab goes over. You don't have to do anything. It just begins to heal itself. It's just part of something that goes on here. And that same thing, we're all hooked up to kind of want to do that when it comes to emotional hurt. You feel actually wounded, like you were scratched or punched in the stomach. I mean, isn't it interesting to notice what happens in your body? Like, and the fear and the pain in your chest or wanting to cry. And then it's so uncomfortable to feel that way that, especially if you have kind of compulsive tendencies, like me, you want to get away from that. You want to run for your life away from that terrible feeling of being hurt, because it's so uncomfortable. It's so debilitating and wounding, and it feels horrible, like you're in the middle of a fire or a tornado. Just anything to get away from it, anything to regain solid ground so you don't have to feel this difficult thing. Well, here's the biggest suggestion I can possibly give you around this, and I give it to myself. To experience that hurt is the most liberating thing you can possibly do for yourself. To be able to be willing to sit with, I was really hurt in that situation by that person. That was so painful. To be able to speak that story and feel the difficulty of it and not try so hard to change it or get away from it, you know? Even if you just add a little drop of not trying so hard to get away from it or change it or make that person wrong, but just to sit there almost like with open hands, feeling how painful and the suffering that was caused and what it built in you. We all know, like when we feel really altruistic and good and kind and loving and compassionate towards all the human race, we know that those people who are yelling and mean and awful and put out painful things into the world are filled with suffering themselves. We know that. We just don't remember it quite though when it actually happens in our own lives. It's difficult to be like really to remember that in a compassionate kind of bird's eye view way of the world and humanity. We get just really, really anxious about protecting ourselves. You know, there's this person who's hurting us, said something really difficult. It's kind of like a collapsing of your identity. They're threatening it. You know, there's this um, arrow going right in to how you want to see yourself. You don't want to be that person that they're seeing. Um, Somebody once, long ago, basically accused me of lying, and when I realized all the mistaken little moments, it was kind of like a comedy of errors in some ways about like in a Shakespeare movie or something, or you know, some sort of sitcom where one person thinks this and really what's going on is that, and then but the mistaken comedic versions of all of it continue because of weird different scenes. And I realized a little bit down the ways of this relationship dynamic, oh, she thought I did that other thing over there. No, oh, no wonder there's been this mistake. And I went to correct it and explain and hopefully laugh with her about it. And instead, I got a complete cutoff. I don't ever want to talk to you again. I want nothing to do with you. You are no longer my friend. And it felt so painful. That is the kind of thing long ago in the midst of my disordered eating and urge to comfort that I would have eaten over in a heartbeat. Less than a heartbeat. I would have been frantically trying to find some sort of thing to take in. It would have felt like I was flailing about, kind of untethered and just exposed, and definitely exposed to being hurt. I would have been hurt already, but I would have been protecting myself on getting hurt further, from getting hurt further. And I would have eaten and eaten and eaten for comfort or the franticness. I would have eaten in a frantic way. I didn't do that because that wasn't just something that was either available to me anymore, but you know, one of the reasons I didn't do it, it wasn't I didn't have to try not to eat, because what existed already for me was awareness that it is okay for someone else to think poorly of me. Let it be okay that that person thinks the way they do towards me. They have hurt because they're seeing me in a certain perspective, in a certain view. I feel hurt, they feel hurt, everyone's hurt. But an odd, kind of counterintuitive way to be with it is that seems to be the way of it in this world. That sometimes people get a little mixed up and they don't really know what's going on and they lose a sense of love and they feel threatened and frightened and worried instead. But if I had no personality or ego or being seen in a good light to uphold, if I can just let that collapse and it's okay that somebody thinks the way they do of me, even if it's horribly, amazing things can happen from that perspective. And when that is okay, what I notice is it just takes a little of the edge off. You know that edge off that we always want to take? That they say those words when using alcohol. You know, to have a little of this to take the edge off. Really, it's a funny term, but that edge, the cuttingness, the slice of it, it actually takes it off if you just have a willingness to allow those people to see you as they do. even if you think it isn't accurate, even if you think they have the wrong idea. They've been just operating the way they are, just like you are. So when it comes to being hurt, when it comes to having this experience of feeling hurt, wounded, and wanting to comfort yourself or soothe yourself or feel better, try on this little experiment. You can even have that place in you that wants to feel better, just wants so desperately to feel better. But can you notice that you are okay, even if you feel lousy and rotten and that person thinks of you in a way that you don't like? Can you be okay with that? You notice that, you're still breathing, you're still sitting in a chair, you still have your shelter, you know, your life, it's not killing you. It's okay that somebody actually doesn't think you're perfect or doesn't think you're a good person or thinks you've got human frailties. In fact, it would be weird if nobody did. I just noticed that is a particularly strong place of pain that drives people to eat, especially compulsive overeaters. A lot of times there's so much warmth and big-heartedness, wanting to care for others, and never do anything wrong that would impose on other people or hurt other people. So when you feel hurt by others towards yourself, it's wrong, I've been done wrong, and I'm trying to be a good person here. Just let yourself be somebody that's not seen brilliantly well. It's okay. What if you just could relax with that and hear those others, be willing to hear them, or be willing to just let it be so that maybe somebody doesn't like you. There's so much more I could say on this particular topic. It's such an amazing experience to have it be okay that others do not see you in a good light. Almost like if we just cracked only that one piece open, you might watch an urge to compulsively eat die down. I mean, like a giant brick out of the wall, gone. If it is okay that other people see you as less than perfect, or, that you did something wrong, see what happens if it's okay that they see you that way. It's okay with you. Maybe there's even a benefit to it. Who knows? Maybe there's even some kind of benefit. Who would you be without the story that no one should see you poorly and that you need to be a really, really, really good person? You might find liberation in that. Okay. And in liberation, of course, you don't feel like eating. All right. Take care, everybody. Lots of love.